Hey, it's James Z. Bit of a different video today, doing this on my phone, and not anticipating it's going to be as long, but I guess we'll see. Um, I feel like today also, normally I write down some bullets about what I want to talk about, and I haven't done that at all. So I'm not sure what to expect here. Also, uniquely, in my recent videos, I think I've largely been feeling things I would kind of describe as negative. I want to be more aware of my emotions and not necessarily so quick to judge them as, negative or positive or what have you. Um, but I've been feeling fat and conflicted and all these sorts of things. Certainly not overtly positive, happy, good vibes emotions. And today that's different. I'm feeling accomplished. Um, you might not appreciate or understand from the kind of gigantic mess behind me. But I've been working on all this stuff behind me for the last week or so, certainly in earnest over the last 4 or 5 days. And I hung a half a dozen sheets of drywall, big, annoying 5/8 inch drywall that's heavy and awful. And the garage I'm in was built by the previous homeowner and has some unique framing challenges that are interesting when studs just aren't where they're supposed to be and all this sort of stuff. And, anyways, initially I was just going to slap up this drywall, and I did. And honestly, I'm not a drywaller. I did an okay job. I didn't really try to do a better than okay job. It was hard to execute on because I got too much shit in this room, honestly, and moving the sheets of drywall around was a pain in the ass and all sorts of obstacles like that. But nonetheless, I just kind of persisted, and then I decided, hey, you know what? I really should like mud the drywall. And I did that, and then I was like, hey, you know what? I really should paint this. And obviously, I haven't done that yet because the mudding job I had done was pretty rough. Um, but that's a work in progress, and it feels really good. The space I'm in right now is where I shoot videos for content creation on for off cost games, and my job situation is changing where I'm going to have a little bit more free time for that pursuit, uh, like starting next week, and in a very literal and kind of figurative way, I've just finally kind of accomplished something, and I really sort of um like started at one corner of this space and now have a point where I can just sort of work out from. It's not done yet, but the really hard stuff is done. The physical, grueling, tough stuff is done. And this feels really important for me. I've often described I have too many belongings. That is something I'm trying to change and admittedly struggle with. I think I'm very accustomed to being a consumer. I have a passion for board games. One of the things I really enjoy about them is variety. I have the luxury of having space and a supportive partner. I have 1,000 games. That takes up a lot of physical space. Most of that is out here. Um, I want to have less stuff, and I'm tired of tripping over shit all the time. And somehow getting the drywall done and having a point that I can kind of work from feels like a real milestone. Um, yeah, it doesn't really address kind of the fundamental complaint that I would say. I've often described my sort of situation out here as it's like one of those puzzles where, there's all those pieces that are like are kind of cube or tetra shaped or whatever. And you have to, there's like, a 5 by 5 grid and only one spot's free. And you have to move one and then move the other and then move another in order to get a piece out. Right. And it's very sequential. That's how doing stuff out here has felt. Very much that it's one thing after another. I'm moving this stuff out of the way over to there, and then this stuff over there, and nothing really has a good home or ever feels organized. And I, I don't love living in clutter, but I find myself living in extreme amounts of it. So that's something that I'm looking to change. And this feels like a really important piece of that. It was a really monumental effort. Um, I'm not a drywaller. This was hard. I also had to I have a fume extraction system that I DIY'd that I had to kind of engineer and fix up and modify in order to get this whole setup to work because I'm going to be doing more 3D printing, resin 3D printing, more laser cutting, and I don't want to get cancer. So that was really important. And like that had to happen before the drywall could. And like all these like little pieces have come together and it just feels like a real milestone, like the start of actually making forward progress on having all of this shit come together. And I'm really proud of myself. So I'm feeling accomplished. As I head into next week, I will say I've been struggling a little bit with my plans for yoga. My Achilles hasn't been feeling great. I have been gently stretching it. I don't know if it's because of like my elbow kind of hurts lately. I think I've been doing a lot of physical stuff, and I've been bending conduit and like crouched down in weird spots to do all this work under the desk for this fume extractor and like all sorts of weird shit like that. And I think it's caught up to me, but it's hard to tell. Is that what's bugging me, or is it this kind of Achilles injury that I had previously? I'm not sure, but I really haven't picked up on yoga. And honestly, I've been focused on making good on progress out here. And that has come at the expense of my sleep schedule to a degree. So I'm going to try and get my sleep back on track now that I made this sort of big push and got kind of a really big chunk of it done. Excuse me. And I'm going to try to, um, lean into the yoga some more. I think I'm going to give my leg an extra week more than I expected. We'll see how it's feeling this weekend. Kind of go from there. But yeah, overall, I'm feeling really accomplished. I'm going to block out my calendar and do some time blocking so that I can start actually getting some creative tasks done because that's one thing I have to be aware. Yes, this shit feels really good. Really, really good. And I'm really proud of myself. But getting involved in something that takes a lot of effort and is a really draining my focus is a common procrastination tactic I use. And with the exception of these videos, which are extremely easy to execute on, the number of other videos I've done rhymes with hero. So I got to work on that. And I want to come up with a schedule and get those pieces into place. And that's going to be easier to execute on when this shit is more organized, but it doesn't have to be organized in order for me to do that, you know? And I don't want to use that as an excuse or rationalization. So, yeah, I'm still struggling here with my procrastination habit. I think the part of me that struggles with that is I don't know how to reconcile that. Am I doing something because this was important? And like the work I'm doing right now, like the reason I'm using my phone is because this is really disruptive work. I don't have enough space to put all these pieces while I hang drywall. So I just made do and I'm in a fucking cluttered mess right now. I wanted to get that out of the way because I don't want to be disruptive kind of later. But like I got to do it at some point and might as well be now. And I feel so fucking good to be done. But is that just like, am I just gonna, is that just an excuse? I don't know. It's really hard for me to parse that and know, is this just a distraction? You know? Am I just trying to find a reason to not shoot a fucking board game video? I'm not sure. But in any case, it feels good. And I'm going to try to um, answer that question, or not answer it, but address it by instead of ruminating on whether this is a procrastination tactic or not, I'm just going to focus on the steps it's going to take to move forward regardless. So that means there's a little bit more to get this across the line. It doesn't have to be painted and whatever, but I am like I gotta clean up from all this like prep work I've been doing and whatever. I do have to do more sanding, and drywall dust and camera gear are not friends. So I gotta reconcile a couple of things. That's gonna take me the better part of the next week, I think. Um, but I'm gonna allow myself to do that, and I'm not gonna allow myself to have other projects to do. You know, there's not a next disruptive task. This is the disruptive task. And when this is done, I'm going to settle into the schedule that I built out over the course of the next week or so. And that feels scary. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to push myself. I have an opportunity. I have a 1 year contract where I'm only working 3 days a week. So basically, I'll be freeing up kind of a day and a half or 2 days a week that I don't have available right now, and I want to fill that with board game content creation and kind of adjacent activities that I'm excited to talk about. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to push hard because it feels like this is my opportunity, and um, yeah, it's as simple as that. I feel accomplished. I'm proud of the work I did. I'm not going to worry too much about whether I'm procrastinating or not. I'm just going to segue my positivity into next steps for doing what I want to do. And I will see you guys soon.